Creepy Battenberg.
Can an object be haunted or cursed? Can bad thoughts, feelings, or spirits be trapped within? When I was younger, my auntie told a tale of having in her possession a small ornamental bird. When a medium visited her house, she told her to get rid of it, as it was evil and would bring her terrible luck. James Dean was killed in his Porsche 550 Spider, or Little Bastard, as it came to be known. The car caused further deaths after it was demolished and its parts used in different cars. My grandma still to this day recounts the tale of when she was a child and she used to go to her friend's house. Her father was a staunch spiritualist and used to bring out a doll he called Knocker. She never really knew why, but she was terrified of that doll. As unbelievable as all this may seem, I am about to tell you a true story that proves that seemingly inanimate objects can indeed be haunted. Tonight sees the conclusion of the three-part story of a lady who has lived with the supernatural all of her life. You will hear how she helped to piece together the history of a famous haunted doll called Harold. In recent times, Harold is probably most famous for his appearance in the Island of Dolls episode on Ghost Adventures. Harold has quite a history, and if you want to learn more about him, I will be telling you exactly how you can do that at the end of this story. I am an avid reader of all things paranormal. I have been since my teens. Being a sort of supernatural treasure trove, I was always interested in the stories of others. I loved hearing what other people experienced, and when I heard the story of a haunted doll that was sold on eBay, I was hooked. It was all over the internet here in Oz, so I decided to have a look at the official website. From there, I learned about the Facebook page, where members could have discussions and see updates from Harold's owner Anthony. I joined the page and shared my own experiences with other members. That's how I got talking to Anthony. I was in contact with him for around 6 to 8 months on the subject of Harold and my supernatural past. I mentioned to him that my son has Asperger's and is sensitive to spirits just like me. I told him how he would come out with the most profound statements that I have ever heard from a 6-year-old. As I was taking part in these discussions, I would often start to feel sick and dizzy. I would even get severe headaches. All of these feelings would clear up as soon as I logged out of the group. I started to imagine myself in a protective bubble well before I entered in any conversations on the group page. It seemed to work really well. It protected me. But one day I woke up to find a message from Anthony, and before beginning this conversation I forgot to protect myself. After I logged out of our chat, I went for a shower, and as soon as I got in, the water stung my leg. I had to instantly take a picture of it because it came up red all of a sudden and swelled up like a welt. A short while later, it disappeared completely. Anthony has been investigating Harold for some time, and in his investigations he found that some of Harold's history may be connected with Australia. He asked if I would consider helping him. I jumped at the chance. Of course I would. This was a fantastic opportunity for me to play a part in the story of a world-famous haunted doll. Big mistake by me. As I was about to find out, Harold doesn't like Anthony becoming friends with females. You see, a lot of Anthony's female friends would become violently ill until he sprinkled Harold with holy water. After he did this, the sickness would stop straight away. So my part in the investigation was simple. Anthony would tell me where to look and what to investigate. If he turned anything up, such as a possible link to Harold's past, or someone who had a child who had a doll similar to Harold, I would investigate that. Now, Harold was a big thing on my mind at this time. I got so wrapped up in it all, and had it not been for some of the things that had happened, I would have continued helping Anthony look into Harold's past. It was during these investigations that my son started asking me if I could see the boy who was around. I told him I couldn't, but it made me think of when I was younger and I would see people in my hallway at home. He told me that the boy would wake him up through the night, and he couldn't get back to sleep because he was scared of him. He said that the boy sometimes didn't have a face. I hoped it was just a phase he was going through, but then I saw something that made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. It was on the Harold Facebook page. It was a picture drawn by someone who had had an experience with Harold, and it depicted spirits trapped within him. One was a boy of around 11 years old. There was also another one, the same height and build, only it was a shadow and had no face. A fortnight of non-stop complaints was to follow, and that's when I started to notice a dark shadow hanging around in the corners of my bedroom at night. It looked like one of those shadow people you hear about. It had 2 faintly red eyes, and whenever it was around I would get sick, dizzy, and have blinding headaches. My phone started to do a weird thing. The keyboard that comes up when you type took the shape of a Ouija board, a sort of a half-moon shape. I started to worry if there was something wrong with me that tricked my eyes into seeing it like that. My son would often be doubled over with stomach pains for no apparent reason. He would sweat profusely and start vomiting. We would go to the doctors who couldn't find anything wrong with him. He had blood tests, ultrasounds, and everything. Still nothing showed up. I was suffering more and more with crippling headaches, and I started waking up through the night, and I was unable to move when I did. I felt like I couldn't breathe. It was like the air was being sucked out of me. I really started stressing that I had epilepsy or a tumour or something. My aunt has epilepsy too, so I thought it might be some sort of genetic thing. I went to the doctor and begged him in tears to give me a CAT scan on my head and make sure I didn't have a tumour or something. The doctor could see how fearful I was, and he gave me a scan. The scan came back clear. One of the clearest that the doctor had ever seen. He said that there was absolutely nothing to worry about because my brain was just fine. He told me that the only reason that he gave me the scan was because of my fear, and he wouldn't normally have had it done on someone. After a couple of months, I put it all down to helping Anthony with his investigations into Harold. My son was still seeing the boy, so I was forceful and told him in no uncertain terms that he must go back to the doll. But the boy still didn't leave. So one day, I said in a half-joking type of way, "If you leave us alone, I will stop helping him and step back from trying to find your secret." I laughed silently to myself after that, and I thought, yeah, he's really going to listen to that. But it stopped. All of it. My son came up to me and said, "Mum, that boy is gone today. Did you tell him to leave me alone?" I made sure that I did step back after this, and now my son doesn't see a boy with no face in his room. I don't see shadow people in the corner of my bedroom, and most of all, neither of us get sick anymore. So, that's my story. Well, some of it anyway. Hello again everyone, it's Creepy here. First up, I just want to say that if my voice sounds a little bit worse than it usually does, it's just because I've got a cold, and I hope I don't sound that bad all of the time. I want to share with you a few things, but first, I want to say some thank yous. Firstly, I want to thank the lady who has been sharing her story with us over these last 3 episodes. She has had a truly remarkable life, and some of the stuff she shared was mind-blowing to say the least. My favourite part of all of her story was her memory of a past life where she was her grandfather's sister. What was yours? Let me know in the comments below. Second of all, I would like to thank Anthony Quinata, who was Harold's owner, for allowing me to use his name in this story, and also granting me permission to use images of Harold. Anthony has written a book on Harold that is available on Amazon. In the book, you will hear of how Harold affected another family with children also in Australia. Now, Anthony has a website dedicated to his ongoing investigation of Harold, and there you can catch all of the latest updates on his story. The website is haroldthehaunteddoll.com, it's all lowercase, and I will include a link in the video description. And last of all is something that I really didn't want to share until Anthony sent me an email tonight, saying that I really should, as it's an amazing story. When I said to my friend, who has told her tale over these last 3 episodes, that I would include her story with Harold. She warned me that she would be surprised if nothing strange happened whilst I was working on this episode. She was absolutely right. I certainly didn't expect anything like this. On Thursday night, myself, my wife and 2 young children arrived home late after being at a family member's house. My wife went upstairs to get them some pyjamas and I went up into our landing to speak with her as the children were playing in the dining room. I was talking about which one of us would put which one of the children to bed, and that's when I saw movement at the bottom of the stairs and saw my daughter walk out of the back door into the yard. My son followed behind her and shut the door on her before waving and saying bye. And this was just as I was saying, "Hey, what are you two doing?" I ran down the stairs to get my daughter back out of the yard, and that's when I saw her sitting on the dining room floor playing with her toy trains. Yep. Thinking it may have been one of the neighbour's children, I stepped into the yard and looked around, but there were no children in the yard and the gate remained shut. There was also no way that a child of my daughter's size would have been tall enough to open the latch on the gate. All I'm going to say is, luckily, nothing has happened since, but let me know what you think in the comments section. And if you did enjoy this show, then please remember to like and subscribe for more. This is Creepy Battenberg saying good night and sweet dreams.